This Spandam character makes me want to commit acts of murder, and all I see is red whenever he is around, but the end of the chapter I thought made up for it.
One Piece, chapter 382, Demon Lair.
Oh boy, I can't wait until this Spandam gets his fucking clock cleaned, I tell you. Well, hello my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and epic and Enies Lobby-filled tale of One Piece. Now, our last chapter, as well as the several chapters before that, really just kind of saw hell breaking loose on several fronts over here. We've gone back and forth between just the few different groups that are attacking the island, and then, of course, just all the inhabitants or employees of the world government on Enies Lobby trying to kind of hold back that assault on several different fronts. Luffy's just going batshit crazy, looking for Nico Robin, and of course, well, I guess Franky as well. But mainly Nico Robin, and then you've got I mean it's just complete chaos. Let's put it that way. So that's where things left off, complete chaos, and things wind up picking up over here. We see on a couple of different fronts. We check in at the beginning briefly with Sanji and Zoro, and at the end of the last chapter, they jumped on the King Bulls and were riding on ahead, you know, along with Chopper and Nami and Usopp and what have you. And what had wound up happening is the Galila foreman, you know, obviously the shipbuilders, they stayed behind Tilestone and Lulu and Paulie to kind of mop up the courthouse guards and hold anybody off from of course, you know, attacking them probably from behind and from boxing them in. So as they're marching forward on these King Bulls over here, they're looking around, they're trying to find where Luffy is, and you know, and they're of course directing the King Bulls, go find Luffy, as they're mowing people down and what have you. The majority of this chapter, though, we do get a quick check-in as well with Luffy in the middle and then towards the end. The middle part is really just Luffy going just balls to the wall, crazy, just plowing through guys, taking on. Nobody's able to stop him. He is a one-man wrecking machine, and you got to respect him. You got to respect the kid. As you know, it's funny because as childlike as his mentality is on things, it's not meant to be like childlike in a bad way. It's meant to be when you're a child, you don't have all these preconceived notions about what I can or can't do. The whole world is just open to you, and you're just like, okay, well, and everything's very straightforward. This is how we're going to do this. This is how we're going to get to this point, because you don't know any other way. You haven't experienced the negativity or the letdown of it not happening the way you wanted to. So his mentality, for me, is it's very cool and it's very unique, because it's just very much like, right there, that's where I got to go. Point A to point B, that's how I'm going to get there. Don't care about anything in between. Don't care about all the banter and the talk and the why or why not. I'm going there, you know. And it's absolutely neat to see. So the majority, though, of this chapter actually takes place in the courthouse, of course, where we have, you know, Franky, Cutty Flam, and Nico Robin. And Franky, the last time we had seen him, had actually kind of bit onto Spandam's head and had to be pulled off. And we see Spandam now has him on the ground. He's chained, and Spandam, of course, is kicking and beating him. But Spandam is just basically a big giant pussy, is what he is. And as a matter of fact, that's not even nice, because I shouldn't say that, because that's a detriment to any pussies or any type of female organs out there. This guy is truly just a piece of just garbage, the lowest kind. I hate him anyway, just me. But so he's beating on Franky over there, and he winds up going in, and we find out that he basically for years has been trying to get things going over here with this. But what happened is after the death of Mr. Tom, you had Iceberg. He wound up going and uniting all the companies, all the shipbuilding companies, to create this huge kind of corporate conglomerate. And then he went and he started taking government contracts. So instead of avoiding the world government, knowing what they were coming after him for, what they'd eventually come after him for, he embraced them and got up close to them. And I think it was really just for political gain and reasoning, so it would be more difficult for them. They'd have to be more tactile in the way that they came in to try to find out about him, the blueprints and everything else. So it was very strategic, and Iceberg, for what he lacks in the physical prowess department as far as beating people up, he's very sharp mentally up here. And like I said, I find that very endearing, and obviously respect that as well. So we wind up finding out, though, of course, that, you know, everything kind of was starting to get into place, and he was starting to do this and that, until all of a sudden he got a call from Admiral Aok. And Admiral Aok, the little afro-headed, ice-wielding snitch that he is, snitchy bitch, he wound up going and I guess calling up Spandam and saying, hey, listen, you know, Nico Robin is on a pirate ship headed towards Water 7. So basically we find out the whole circle of events. Robin goes and asks him, and this is a part that really pissed me off, right? Well, I'm just not against, you know, hitting women, period, but even in fictional manga or comic books or what have you. It's a necessary evil. I guess it happens. You know, I shouldn't say necessary evil. It does happen. But it never sets right with me. Anyways, so Robin's sitting there. She's restrained. She has the sea prism stone necklace or something like that on that's obviously keeping her from using her powers. And it doesn't matter anyway because, you know, she made a deal with them. Made a deal with the devil, so to speak. But she goes and she says, yeah, how did you get permission for a buster call anyway? And Spandam goes and just like, boom, just nails her, you know, knocks her on the floor. And then there's a point where he's actually going back and forth between kicking her and kicking Franky, you know. And like I said, that shit just doesn't set right with me, you know. Even though I can put it on my mind to some degree and I know it's fictional, it still just doesn't, oh man, it just makes you want to punch him in a... That's what I want to do to him. Anyway. But there's a lot of other things too, but many of those you couldn't probably say here. It wouldn't even be legal. But anyway, so I center myself, get my train of thought back. So what I think that she was getting at there was like, yeah, how did you even get permission for that anyway? And I'm kind of wondering, did he actually get permission for that? Or did they just go and threaten her with that and say, hey, listen, we're going to do, knowing that that was her weakness? And I think that might be what winds up coming out from this. That's what I kind of saw reading between the lines. I could be wrong. Who knows? It's happened before. It'll happen again. But that's what I feel like, and that's why he vehemently defended himself with, I don't have to tell you shit, and just started beating her around. So anyway, we also wind up finding out, too, because he's got this whole, you know, this maniacal sort of evil genius type thing, like he's going to rule the world. And, you know, and this is what the, you know, this is what I'm going to do now that I have the two people that can unlock, obviously, the powers of this ship, and I'm going to rule countries and everything else. And what he does is he basically goes and tells CP9, first of all, what's pretty shady and what's pretty shitty he does is that he tells her that the Straw Hats have infiltrated the island, but don't worry, they're probably captured or dead now or what have you, and he's going to take them to Impel Down, and, you know, obviously to give them something to do, torture prisoners and everything else. And she's like, wait, that wasn't our deal, you know. So then he goes and he looks at Lucci and he says, what exactly were the terms of our deal? And he said, and Lucci says, we promised that if she turned herself into us without, you know, without fighting back and everything else, you know, that we would allow the 6 Straw Hats to sail, to set sail safely from Water 7, you know. And this son of a bitch goes and he says, well, we're not in Water 7 anymore. We're at Enies Lobby. They chose to come here. So they set sail safely from Water 7. And she's like, you scum fuck. Really, you're going to go and twist the words around? So then that's when he goes, he starts hitting her again and everything, knocks her to the ground again. And he says, oh, we're the world government. We can do whatever we want, you know. We make no, we make no excuses or we don't try to hide anything that we do to pirates. Basically, like, yeah, we make and break deals all day long just because that's what we feel like doing. And that shit pissed me off, too, because you wouldn't expect anything more from a piece of garbage like this, you know. But, you know, you can tell, though, too, that CP9, or at least some of its members, don't agree with this idiot, too. Because even Lucci goes, and he's kind of growls and grimaces at that after Spandam goes and says, and you guys are going to go rest up and this and that. And Lucci says something to the effect of, like, listen, you know what? World government, that's who I work for, right? It's kind of like somebody who works for the president. You may not believe in the person that's in office, but you serve the president, right? And you serve the presidency and the ideals that it represents. So that's what he represents and serves the ideals of the world government and the thoughts of justice, right? He doesn't particularly like or agree with some of Spandam's things and his thoughts, but Spandam, as long as he is in charge and has been placed in charge and is his superior, Lucci will listen to whatever bullshit orders he gives and follow them out to the letter. But that's not what he really wants, you know. So you wind up getting, and I thought this was kind of a cool panel. So, and he even says this. He says here, the world government decides justice for us. As long as the government recognizes you as the leader of CP9, we will carry out our orders to the letter. But we don't have to agree with your ideals. You know, and then he says, oh yeah, you're right, but what is it that you want then? And then Lucci goes, and he just goes and kind of, just goes and growls up over there, and he goes, blood. And I love that. He's just like, when they're here, or when we're here, murder is justified. So Lucci likes going, he's got that bloodlust, boy. He like turning into a big-ass cougar or cheetah or whatever the hell he is, and he like going and eating people, I guess. So anyway, that was the big thing with that, you know. And then you get a nice picture, a nice shot of everybody from CP9 over there, kind of nice profiles of all of them. The chapter winds up ending, though, shortly after that. We get Luffy he's pretty much ran through and ransacked or searched most of the island, and he's at the point now where he's at the back of the main island where there's that gap in between there and just kind of like that void, like a 50 or 100 foot gap, I don't know, between that and where the actual the courthouse is, right? And let me see if I can actually find it. I just had the damn page, like an idiot. Like an idiot, I didn't keep it saved, you know. Alright then, there we go. So anyway, so you can see the gap over there, obviously, that he finds, and he's like, that's the last building here on the island and that I haven't searched yet, right? All of a sudden, he goes and he sees an air door appear, one of those air doors, and we know, obviously, he was going to step out of that. So Bluno steps out of it. Luffy's like, whoa! You know, and he's like, hey, you're the guy that, you know, Luffy, the association, the skills are hilarious. But anyway, what winds up happening is Bluno goes and steps out, and it looks like Bluno and Luffy are going to go toe-to-toe, because Bluno winds up saying, you know, hey, listen, since the start of the world government, no one has ever made it as far as the entrance to the government, right? And then he just says, how long do you plan to keep fighting? You know, Bluno, that's how I picture he talks. And then Luffy's just like, you know, you wouldn't expect anything different from him. Until I die. And that's what I like about the kid, man. Singular focus until I die. Listen, I've made my peace, right? If I die, I die. But I am going to accomplish my goal, or I'm going to die trying, you know. And honestly, I wish I could have half the commitment that he has, you know. Certainly I don't want to die, but at the same time, I want to make sure that things that I do matter, that they're important, and that I believe in them, you know, and that they're worth fighting for or worth dying for. And it's cool because Luffy, that's how he feels. That's how he feels about his crew members. He feels that it would be worthwhile for him to die as long as it was in the action of trying to save one of these crew members. So I gotta respect him, gotta love him for that. My chapter question for you, brothers and sisters, is really what were your thoughts on I think on Spandam in general and his whole evil, malevolent plan or whatever that he had. But really, do you think that that I'm on the right track over there? Obviously, without try to not spoil me if you can, I guess. But what were your thoughts on what he said about the you know, the Buster Call, or what Robin said about the Buster Call, and then him just backhanded her? I felt like there was a little more than meets the eye going on over there, and I feel like there was a little smoke and mirrors coming from him. And if we know that he's willing to go and lie and make a bullshit deal to get Nico Robin to come in, you also got to figure the guy would be willing to lie to her to get that deal about this Buster Call that he may have never even gotten permission for, you know, or authority, however it has to work, you know, within the world government. So let me know what your answer to that is, though, in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next Fun Nation.
Follow me on my other channels as well as Twitter and Facebook and Instagram too.